Hello everyone and welcome back to another Gran Turismo 7 mining method video, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys the mining that I've made for this insane car right here, which is the Aston Martin Valkyrie. Alright, so the car is on sale inside the brand Central, so let's go in, and once you are in, go to Europe and United Kingdom, press on Aston Martin. And then once you're in, go to the showroom and scrolling all the way to the right side, and this is the vehicle that we'll be using today. It is the one and only Aston Martin Valkyrie. This car is a monster, but it does come at a hefty price tag of 4 million credits, which I'm pretty sure makes this the most expensive car I've made a tune on, I think. For now, I might make a tune on a much more expensive car in the future. Who knows, but right now, this is currently the most expensive car I've ever made a tune on. Well, by the time I'm recording this footage right here. So here is the color selection, 4 in total. So starting from the left, we get ethanol silver, which looks fantastic. Love that little bit of orange, looks very nice. Then we have liquid petroleum, which is, just straight up black color. And then we have slipstream green, which is a very nice color, looks like Aston Martin Racing Green, to be honest, with a bit of blue, which is, a nice touch. And then we have maximum orange. So yeah, only 4 color options, but they all look fantastic. Alright, before we continue, if you guys are enjoying the video so far, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. It helps me a lot and really appreciate it. Anyway, so here is the tune. So this is obviously going to be 800 pp tune. So yeah, starting off the tires, racing hard tires. And then for the suspension, fully customized suspension, here is the suspension setup. A bit odd to my usual suspension setup because this car does suffer from a bit of oversteer. So yeah, quite strange for the suspension setup. As you can see, the rear anti-roll bar is only 3. The suspension, I did stiffen it up by a decent amount. And then camber for the rear, I changed that as well. It did reduce the oversteer pretty decent amount, so yeah, it's not as bad, so it is a little better than standard. So yeah, moving on to aerodynamics, you can't change it apparently, which is quite unfortunate. ECU full control computer, upper adjustment 73%, ballast 13 kg, ballast positioning minus 50, but don't worry, it's not going to ruin the handling because the amount of ballast you're putting in is only 13 kg, so it's still really light, so it doesn't really make a difference, well, barely. And moving on to power restrictor, 70% transmission, fully customizable racing transmission. And here is the manual adjustment. I did make 7th gear quite long, so yeah. And then moving on to the turbocharger is going to be set to none, intercooler none, and for the brakes it is going to be racing. You guys can put carbon ceramics just like what I did here, but in this game carbon ceramics and racing brakes, they don't really have any difference between them. It's just that carbon ceramics, well, they look like carbon ceramics, so yeah. Anyways, for the brake balance, brake controller will be set to, well, brake controller shares do have that installed. Front wheel balance will be set to -3, and all in the bottom right over here for bodywork. Increased body rigidity will be installed. So yeah, this car can actually do the race just by pit stopping once only, and that's because the car is really light. As you guys can see, barely added in any ballast, only 13 kg. So yeah, you guys can do the race just by pit stopping once only, which is pretty nice, although you do need to play around with the fuel map, of course. Anyway, so for the performance, 648 horsepower, and the weight is 2,829 pounds. In kilograms, that is a total of 1,283 kilograms. So yeah, pretty light, good amount of power, good amount of torque. And yeah, overall, it's just a really nice car to drive, especially the handling, ignoring the oversteer, of course. But yeah, overall, I like it. It's nice. I might be a little biased though, because I do love Aston Martin. So for this race, the difficulty will be set to easy. The race we will be doing will be in Europe, and then down here Italy, Sardinia road track. So press on that and scroll to the right bit, and this is the race that we will be doing today. It is the World Touring Car 800. So yeah, number of laps 15, does have tire wear and fuel consumption as per usual. And yeah, this race right here is a completely dry race, so yeah, there's no rain whatsoever. Alright, so time for me to walk you guys through on the strategy that I've gone for. So yeah, the strategy that I've gone for is going to be a one-stop strategy. Also, if you guys do want to mix up the strategy and, you know, do it your own way, play around the fuel map, feel free to do it. This is just my own way of doing it. So yeah, anyways, moving on. Fuel map will be set to 6, which is all the way to lean. So yeah, make sure it is set to 6 immediately at the start of the race, and keep it at 6 until you have to pit to refuel. Oh yeah, and for those who are wondering, I usually use my overtake button down the main straight of this track. So as you guys can see, I am using the overtake button right here on this uphill bit because it, you know, helps push the car go uphill. So yeah, it's, you know, the overtake button is very useful for that part of the track, and that's where I mainly use it most of the time. Fast forward to the end of lap number 8, so this is when I'm going to be entering the pit lane to refuel the car and also swapping to a new set of racing hard tires. In terms of how much I'm refueling the car, I'm going to be refueling it until it's full. The reason I'm refueling it until it's full is because on the final lap we are actually going to be changing the fuel map to 1. So on the final lap we're going to be doing a full power final lap push. So yeah, that's why I'm refueling the car until it's full, so then we'll have enough fuel to do a fuel map 1 full power push on the final lap. Okay, so after exiting the pit lane, make sure your fuel map is still set to 6, which is all the way to lean, and keep it at 6 until the final lap, because on the final lap we are going to be changing the fuel map all the way back to 1. Okay, so right here at the end of lap number 14, as we approach the final lap, right here I actually do set my fuel map back to 1, which is full power quite early. So yeah, as you guys can see, right before I reach the final lap, I already have my fuel map set to 1. So yeah, I can fully utilize the straight with full power, so I'm going to be very fast on the final lap. Okay, so before I finish the race, let's talk about the penalties that can ruin your clean racing bonus for this race right here. So there's only one, and that is if you pass under a yellow flag. So if your yellow flag ever comes up, don't do anything silly, don't get a penalty from the yellow flag, and you in your clean racing bonus should be a-okay. Skipping to the end right here, and this is when I'm gonna be crossing the finish line, finishing first place. There we go. Also, here is the fastest time that I got, which is on the final lap. So yeah, here it is, a 1:35.409. And here is the payout. There you go, got my clean racing bonus, and this is the time it took for me to complete the race, which is a 26:01.687. And that's going to be it for today's Gran Turismo 7 money method video. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one, and goodbye.